Hi everyone, I am going to make this public live, even though I'm not going to be on for very long, so I'll take a look at some of the comments if people come in, but don't expect a ton of conversation because I'm trying to keep this under 30 minutes. That way BitChute can pick it up. If it's over 30 minutes, BitChute will not back up my video, and I even can't upload it. Anyway, interesting story that I think I picked up 2 days ago that I've wanted to talk about concerning the candidacy of a certain Donna Shalala in Miami for a congressional district currently occupied by a Cuban American Republican named Ileana Latinen. Well, so Donna Shalala, for those of you that don't know, her biography is pretty much, we'll get into that. Her biography is very familiar, but let's read through this article and you'll see that really these people, they don't know what the hell. I mean, they're just asking for more trouble, the Democrats, when they have somebody like this. First of all, visually, I think we're all on the same page. She's not very visually impressive. Okay, I'll just leave it at that. Those of you that take offense, I could care less, because this is the vision of the Democrats going into 2020, or at least 2018, because she's running this year. But they're trying to convince America that they're the party of forward-thinking progressivism, but they're having a 90s era cabinet-level secretary under Bill Clinton. She's over, I think she's over 75 years old. One second, let me just check. She would be now, yeah, she's 77 years old. So that's it's not exactly she's no spring chicken here. So Donna Shalala says she's running for Congress because she's angry. That's going to be very ironic given some information that I'm going to that's also in her biography. But let's take a look. She's angry at Trump, at his administration, at Congress. On Wednesday, the former University of Miami president officially rolled out her campaign to succeed the retiring Ileana Latinen, releasing a video on her campaign website. She filed her statement of candidacy earlier this week, immediately becoming the favorite, though vulnerable, candidate to take a seat that many expect will flip to Democrats after decades of Republican control. She said, "Everything we fought for in our lives is under attack under the slogan, 'Make America Great Again,'" Shalala said in the video. "Running for Congress was never in my plans, but now I realize everything we fought for is at risk." Shalala, 77, says the ruling party in America has frustrated her by undercutting education, the working class, the environment, civil rights for women, immigrants, and the LGBTQ community. In an interview with the Miami Herald, she also said she's disturbed by the lack of federal legislation following last month's shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. She said, "Frankly, what's going on in Washington really made me angry." Yeah, I'm sure. Said Shalala, who was Health and Human Services Secretary under Bill Clinton in 1996, when Congress passed a law banning the Center for Disease Control and Prevention from studying gun violence. Elected officials ought to make decisions based on evidence. If you stop us from collecting the evidence, you're doing real damage to making public policy. Shalala has never run for office before and most recently served as head of the Clinton Foundation after retiring as president of the University of Miami, where she still teaches political science. Internal polling suggests it's her race to lose, but she enters a crowded field of well-funded but lesser-known Democrats who've already shown that they'll go after her record at the University of Miami, in the private sector, and with the Clintons. Though Shalala has stockpiled accolades and made many friends in South Florida and around the country, her opponents will have ammunition to use against her. Her disputes with unions at the University of Miami and her role in the university's sale of protected Pine Rock land to a developer planning a Walmart are likely to come up. Her stints with Lenner and United Health Group, among other issues, already have been used in attacks. But unfazed, Shalala doled out platitudes to her opponents during an interview about her candidacy, referring to the crowded field of well-funded state lawmakers, attorneys, businessmen, and local commissioners as wonderful people. She said the district needs her experience. She says, "I know something about Congress. I know the issues cold all the issues. She said, there's so much going on in this country, particularly in Washington, and I believe this community needs to send to Washington a very strong advocate, someone who can hit the ground running. So then it goes through the list of all these people running against her. And it says they have been running for their campaigns and fundraising for months. So notice a couple of these people, Jose Javier Rodriguez and Kristen Rosen Gonzalez. I'm assuming some of these people might be connected to the Cuban community, so that could be a problem for her. By having raised billions of dollars from the University of Miami during her 14 years there, it's improbable to think that Shalala is entering the race without a hefty base of financial support. Shalala said she's still working to name her campaign finance chair, but she's assembled a Miami-based team, including Ben Dixon and Amandi International for polling, Tom Mosloom from the M Network, and Craig T. Smith, the political strategist who worked for the Clinton White House and served as a senior advisor to the Ready for Hillary super PAC. Her treasurer is Mark Diaz, former vice president of budget and planning for the University of Miami. Shalala also has friends around the country, including former New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg, who recently offered to help when the two met face to face. What will be interesting to watch now that Shalala is officially in, following weeks of speculation that she'd run, whether anyone drops out of the race. The Florida legislature may put pressure Wednesday on some local and state officials seeking the office by sending a resign to run bill to Governor Rick Scott that would force city, county, and state politicians to resign their seats in order to qualify for a congressional run, making such a foray more risky. So we'll discuss that issue in a second. Shalala's polling showed that her age and medical history, she suffered a stroke in 2015, won't count against her in the August primary. She also told the Miami Herald that she remains in touch with the new, more progressive direction of the party. I've been a progressive and an activist all of my career. I've spent my career working with young people. Shalala, who lives in Coral Gables, said she's going to give Miami a strong voice in Congress. The people in Washington don't seem to properly represent Miami or the people in this country. They don't seem to see the harm they're doing to this country. She said, real damage is being done by our elected officials in Washington. Frankly, we have to checkmate them. So that's from the Miami Herald. And, the comment section, let me see what people are saying. Shalala should take a long, hard look in the mirror if she's actually oh so angry about President Pussy Grabber. It's corrupt, pro-corporate, money-grubbing, fake liberals like her that sowed the seeds of distrust for the Democratic Party that allowed him to come to power. Shalala, and this is from apparently from a University of Miami person. I don't know. Shalala and those of her ilk need to be cast out of the Democratic Party. Then somebody said she motivates us to vote against her and throw up. And then this other guy says if her just entering the race gets a resign to run law on the books, she's already accomplished more for advancing good government than all of the other incumbents in the race combined. At the end of the day, she is by far the most feared of the popular possible candidates by the Republicans, and what better endorsement is there? By the way, I was involved on that unionization of the janitors effort, and I don't see it as a problem for her in the congressional race. She was representing management, and ultimately the janitors were successful. I will be surprised if organized labor even works the primary in any significant manner. Well, that just demonstrates that that organized labor has become very what's it called? Emasculated. And then this guy replies saying that her behavior during that period was disgraceful, and that they're going to run against her. They're going to help people that run against it. And then people are calling her to task for Nevin Shapiro, who was that booster for the University of Miami, who donated all that. He was involved in one of those NCAA scandals where I think he gave hookers and cash to football recruits. And then there's the 4 Phillies farm and Coral Reef. So they're basically, there's only one positive review here. this guy from San Diego says someone should look into so San Diego, not that big, but someone should look into the 10-year laureate education at University of Miami online deal she inked while Dollar Bill Clinton was laureate's honorary CEO and she was president of UM. Yes, she's this is what I'm about to get to. I'm just reading a bunch of these reviews. Somebody says too old and in poor health, should seriously reconsider, will be used by the Democratic Party to spread their false narratives. I'm going to like that one, if you don't mind me. Then that minion from Alfredo, if she had any decency, should be mad at the Clintons for selling themselves to anyone with large sums of cash and also for the millions stolen from Haitian relief efforts. What a tub of hypocrisy. I'm going to call this guy back. Anyway, not to prolong this, Donna Shalala, here's a few issues with having a Clinton crony running for Congress in Southern Florida. First of all, everybody knows that the Clintons were crucial in antagonizing the Cuban community in Southern Florida with a number of gestures that they did, including the deportation of Elian Gonzalez back to Cuba, or returning him to Cuba, I should say. That was very that maddened the people of the Cuban community down there very in a very thumb in the eye fashion. It was a real personal issue for many of them for years. If that plays a role here, I don't know. I'm just putting it out there. Another issue is that she served as like they said, as basically the chair of the Clinton Foundation for years. Said here, yeah, she followed her tenure as president of the University of Miami, with being named chief executive officer of the foundation. According to the New York Times, Chelsea Clinton helped persuade Shalala to leave the Miami position, move to New York, and head the foundation. So let me see who's the head of it now. There was Bruce Lindsay, Ira Magaziner. So Shalala left the foundation in 2017. And given that, it is very plausible that she'll face questions about the actual, the pay-to-play issues of the foundation and things like that. If she gets subpoenaed during the upcoming year to go to Congress and answer questions about pay-to-play, because there are really legit questions about that issue coming before Congress, she will lose the primary. Okay, because if she can't answer those questions, the progressive opposition to her will be so strongly, they'll be so emboldened by her, her reticence to that she will probably be defeated in the primaries. Look, I think maybe I'm being very optimistic about that, but with everything that's going on with Debbie Wasserman Schultz in neighboring Broward counties, because she's in Miami-Dade County, Debbie Wasserman Schultz is in Broward County. She's going to have a big uphill battle among certain sectors of the population. Like I said, the Cuban population that supported Ross Lettinen, they are not going to vote for her. Just being involved in the Clinton Foundation so strongly is going to be a real problem among progressives, people that were Sanders voters. And I'm not saying that that will preclude her from winning the election. I mean, let's look at the 2016 presidential election in Florida. It's not as if it's impossible. So they did win Dade County by a pretty good margin. But not as much as they did with Broward County. Of course, Barack Obama, I believe, actually won it by a much larger margin. See, Miami-Dade County, In 2012, 61% to 37%. Miami-Dade County in 2016, let's see here. So 34% to 63%. So it's, it is possible that she could win by a large margin. It's possible. I could be wrong. But that's assuming that she wins conclusively among progressives. Now, Hillary Clinton was a machine in Florida in 2016. In terms of the primaries, she really did beat Sanders almost by 12 points. But I would have thought it would have been even more. And that's given the fact that she's consistently performed well there. She beat Barack Obama there in 2008. Let's see here. Whoops, wrong link. So in Florida, let me see here. Florida Democratic primary, she won 49 to 32, so by 17 points, and that was in a 3-person race. In any case, yeah, Hillary Clinton's support in Florida has never been small, and she could definitely win. The Donna Shalala, who, if you're joining late, is Hillary Clinton. She's basically a mini Hillary Clinton. She's also shorter, and she's a Lebanese older version of Hillary Clinton. That she's not going to win as easily as Hillary Clinton did. I think that there's a downtrend in the amount of support that she's her ilk is getting in the county. Let me see if anybody entered anything in the chat. I don't think anybody's even watching, but whatever. Yeah, nobody. In any case, there's one other story I wanted to talk about before I sign off. Officials say New York City is illegally shipping homeless families upstate. So the de Blasio administration is illegally shipping homeless families off to unsuspecting upstate towns with a year of free rent, forcing those municipalities to pick up the rest of their living expenses. Broome County officials said Thursday at least 5 families have been sent to Broome in recent months, and officials there issued an ultimatum: either end the special one-time assistance program known as SODA or face civil and possibly even criminal litigation. So he said we've put New York City on notice. See Broome County Executive Jason Garner, one of several officials, to call out the city on Thursday during a public press conference, which was broadcast live on Facebook by WBNG. This is illegal and it ends today, he said. New York City is avoiding their responsibility to provide these people assistance and transferring their government responsibilities right here to Broome County taxpayers. Garner added, 1 year rent is paid up front by New York City, then New York City abandons them, and they now become the responsibility of Broome County. According to the local officials, New York City Human Resources Administration, which is responsible for the SODA program, is in direct contradiction to New York State Social Services Law 148, which is a criminal statute. It states that no person shall, without legal authority, send or bring or cause to be sent or brought any needy person into a public welfare district with the purpose of making him a charge on such public welfare district, or for the purpose of avoiding the responsibility of assistance or care in the public welfare district from which he is brought or sent. Such an act is considered a misdemeanor and liable to a fine. So, thanks to the Department of Social Services, thanks to his diligence, or whoever that is, The secret soda refugees were uncovered last week by county officials, who then brought the issue to the attention of their legal counsel. A thorough investigation was conducted, and social services later confirmed that the families had come from a Big Apple homeless shelter as part of the soda program. Their rent had been prepaid at an even higher rate than we normally would pay to entice these homeless residents, these homeless folks from New York, to move up here. So although their rent has been paid for, they can receive other benefits from Broome County. They can receive SNAP benefits for their food. They can receive medical assistance, and they can also receive utility support to pay their utilities. So although New York City paid their rent for a year, we would be responsible for paying for other assistance programs. So, not to, because this is actually longer than most New York Post articles, but the real issue here is that Mayor de Blasio of New York, he created this whole crisis of the homeless just crowding into New York State. I know I have a colic here, so it might be a little annoying, but there's a real issue at hand here, and that is once these big government, high tax, high regulation politicians on the local level, once they expend all of their resources and it becomes a nuisance and an eyesore for the taxpayer, what do? They try to force other districts and other constituencies to take those people on. There's an excellent example of that in again, going back to the Clintons in the late 80s, when President Carter accepted the Mariel boat lift, just taking people out of the blue from Cuba. I think it was something like 100,000 people. Maybe it was less, but the Mariel boat lift included a lot of convicted felons from Cuba, a lot of criminally insane, a lot of gays that were in prison there. And they had nowhere to put them. And the Marielitos, as they were called, were initially paid. A lot of them were housed in Fort Chaffee in northern Arkansas. And then they escaped and caused some of them escaped and caused some havoc over there near this National Guard base in northern Arkansas. And that was the catalyst for President Clinton's first well, it was, I guess, technically a second, but it would be his last electoral defeat. In 1980, he was defeated in the governor's race in Arkansas, in part because of this, also because he raised driver's license fees in Arkansas. So, people get tired of, a lot of these brash liberal politicians who think that they're going to save the world, preaching to them and telling them, oh, it's our responsibility to do X, it's our responsibility. And then what do? They shift the responsibility to somebody who's not going to be able to complain. In this case, this upstate county in New York. Let me see where Broome County is, just real quick. So Broome County is all the way, you can see this map. I mean, it's not exactly close to New York City. It's a fair, this is the Hudson Valley over here. I think it's closer to Binghamton. Yeah, Binghamton is the seat of the county. So, this is antagonizing people upstate. So it's no skin off of de Blasio's ass. However, think of it this way. If they sue the city and in the next 4 years, New York City, they fight the litigation and lose, then de Blasio will be blamed for wasting public money. He'll probably have to take back a lot of these homeless refugees. And I think we should have something to deal with the homeless issue, probably like more of a work program and more of and more initiatives to get them self-sufficient again. But this is not the solution, to ship them upstate, where in many cases they might not even know how to adjust to life there. So that's it. I hope you guys check this out. By the way, at 4 o'clock today, 4 o'clock Eastern time, 3 Central time, we're going to be talking to Tariq about the Nation of Islam. Please check out some of my links below. There's my NCAA rescue plan that I wrote for the Hard News Network. So check that out if you haven't checked it out already. And other than that, have a great rest of your Friday and a great weekend. Good Shabbos for those of you in New York and southern Florida, I guess.